Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation, and today I've got a very special guest to the channel. First time, I have Amy Fox from Amy's Vinyl Experience. Hello Amy, how are you?
How are you?
Doing well, doing well. We are going to do an album rewind on ELO and their 1979 album Discovery. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a track-by-track analysis of the album, what we thought about ELO in the day or how we came across ELO, and maybe do a bit of a synopsis of what we think of this album with 2024 ears. So, Amy, what was your first encounter with ELO?
Well, the first record that I ever heard was ELO El Dorado. So El Dorado really opened my mind to more of a progressive sound. Because Jeff Lynne, he is very pop rock, but El Dorado is more progressive in my opinion. Some people, I guess it depends on your ear, on what you hear. So that concept record or that concept album really influenced me with Jeff Lynne. That's where I first fell in love with Jeff Lynne. I love his writing. I love his attention to detail. I love him as a producer, a composer, and he's always captivated me with his style and with the orchestra and with his electronic music sounds, and that just always stuck with me, and I just love it so much. So I'm just so excited to be here on the show. Thank you for having me on here
Not a
again.
problem. Yeah. Well, my first encounter with ELO was probably as a young kid. 1976, a New World Record was probably my first taste. And there were a couple of songs that were just played on the radio to death, and that was Telephone Line and Living Thing. And even to this day on classic rock radio, those songs were played. I remembered the album Out of the Blue, maybe with Mr. Blue Sky, but it was actually this album that was I think I was gifted this at Christmas. I was 12 and I just fell in love with it. And, the whole vinyl experience is that you get an album like this with this cover and you go, wow, you've got something special. And, they don't put albums like this together, just the whole package. It's got a lot of mystery. It's the Arabian Nights, and it sort of invites you that, wow, what is on this album? It's like Aladdin Cave, opening a treasure box, the whole package. There you go. And we've got the poster with it as well, Electric Light Orchestra. Played it, fell in love with it, and I've just had such a gas in the last 5 weeks since we sort of were messaging to pull this show together. And it just brought me back to 1979 when I was a 12-year-old, just listening to this album for the first time and just bringing back so many memories. And that's what music can do. It just brings back memories. So, all right. Well, what we'll do is we'll just go track by track. Shine a Little Love, which is the first song on the album. What do you think of this song?
I absolutely love this one as the first track because you get a little bit of sound, but you immediately know that it's ELO. You have that classic ELO that really just comes in. What I also love about this track is that you have a lot of electronic music, sound effects. I love the small guitar pieces in here. I just think it's so great. You also have that disco flair that everybody's talking about. Everybody's saying how disco this record is. And, as an ELO fan, you're either going to love it or you're not going to like it so much because you really want that big orchestra sound. I personally think it's disco, but it's beautiful because you have the ballads. And I find the ballads really softens everything, but you also have the untempo tracks as well. So that really gives it a beautiful balance. What I think this song really is about, I think it's about making a relationship work. And because in the end, you're happy. So really, that's what I feel from the song. I'm not sure if you want to go through all the lyrics, but I definitely pulled lyrics that really struck me as a poet and writer myself, that really just zooms me into the song where I'm like, this is my favorite part. But I'll let you lead that on where you want to go.
Oh, no. Feel free to chime in. With this song, one thing I love is the start. It kind of feels like it's Star Wars Close Encounters of the Third Kind with that ethereal, spacey intro. And then it just goes whoosh. You've got the strings and you're in ELO territory. And I think the disco part of this song is you've got that wonderful bouncy bass line, which is all very on octaves. Boom, 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 boom. You're in 1979. It's disco land. It's a bouncy song, but it's very Beatlesque. And that's the thing about Jeff Lynne. He loves the Beatles and he loved the orchestral Beatles. I think one of his favorite songs was Strawberry Fields Forever. And he's kind of single-handedly based ELO on two things. The classic Roy Orbison, Del Shannon of the 50s, Runaway, meets the Beatles of the orchestral I Am a Walrus, Strawberry Fields Forever, White Album, Sgt. Pepper's, and that's ELO. And it's got this in spade. It's kind of Beatlesque, but with a little bit of a disco groove to it.
I love it. So if I may add, I'm not sure if you hear this. I feel like there's a little bit of 70s Bee Gees influence. I don't know if it's just the way I'm listening, but I get that little taste of it. So It's interesting. That's what I feel from it. So, yeah.
Do you think they would have been dancing to this in Studio 54? Maybe. I don't know. But I think everybody got touched by disco, even the Stones, some of their later 70s periods, they were right into it. Everyone got influenced. So I think ELO thought, why not us? But it's still heavily Beatlesque. It's still got that Beatlesque that we like about ELO. So, all right. Well, sorry.
I'm sorry. I saw this interesting thing as well. If you look at Discovery, if you look at the title, if you split it in half, it says disco and then it says very, right? DISCO, disco, and then very. So I actually saw some forums where people were like, disco, very, very disco. So it's kind of an interesting theory that's kind of hanging out there that I thought was kind of fun if there was anything played into that title, just to make it interesting.
There you go. I like that. I never. You've. Yeah, great. So track 2, Confusion. What do you think of this song?
So Confusion, I think it's very catchy. I love the electronic sounds. I love the backing vocals. The one thing that I love about this album are the backing vocals. I'm not sure if I'm going to say it correctly. Is it called the vocoder? The voice machine, I believe.
Yeah.
I love how they use a lot of that in this album. It just fits and it works. And Jeff Lynne's always been kind of about that whole spaceship feel. And I feel a lot of that in this record. I feel that this song really is about just a confused woman. She's kind of coming out of this relationship and she's confused. She has nobody to lean on. So now she's confused, like she doesn't have anybody anymore. So that's what I feel. I feel like it's straight to the point. It's very easy to understand. I think it has a great beat. I love the little instrumental break as well. It's just very catchy. I love this verse that Jeff Lynne wrote. It's the first verse, and I think it's so fantastic. It says, everywhere the sun is shining, all around the world it's shining, but cold winds blow across your mind. I love that verse. I just think it's so fantastic, the way he introduced the song in those lyrics. I mean, everywhere the sun is shining, all around the world is shining, but a cold wind blows across your mind. I love that. I just think it's brilliant. Fantastic.
And his phrasing of that line is fantastic because it's got a real Del Shannon, Roy Orbison vocal feel to it, because he loves that old 50s crooner. He loves those sounds. I think you've nailed it. I love the mandolin chords. It's not mandolin. It's actually a 12-string acoustic guitar, but it sounds like mandolin. And a little bit of reggae drums, the steel drums. They're kind of a little bit of a palate cleanser within the song. I think it's a really strong track 2. I think the track listing on this album is fantastic. I think every song's in the right place, and this is a really good track 2 because it sort of contrasts from Shine a Little Love, because that's like, wow, that's like the opening credits. Here we are, we're out in space, and then confusion. I just think it's just the perfect number 2 song for the album. It's compelling, it's intriguing, it's finely crafted pop, and, you know, it's an emotional song, you know. Jeff's a very mysterious guy. You know, he has the shades, and you know, his interview, he doesn't give a lot away, but what he gives is for his music. I think I think he is a very private person. So if you want to know about me, it's through my music. That's the impression I get.
He has an incredible mind, a genius mind. I mean, Jeff Lynne can do just about anything. He could play any instrument. He can create sounds out of anything. It's like he has something in his mind and he just does it. He has these incredible sounds where even I sit back and I think, my goodness, what is that? Where did that come from? I love that about him. He is so mysterious. He's incredible.
Absolutely. And he's touring America. So, folks, if you get the chance, see it. I think it's his finale. I don't think ELO is going to be going on too much longer. I wish he'd come to Australia because they have not been to Australia since, I think, the 70s. So it's probably long overdue. But if you get the chance, folks, see him. I definitely would. Need Her Love, track 3. What do you think of this song?
Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful song. I think there are so many great moments in this song. It's a beautiful ballad. I mean, beautiful poetry. I love it so much. I find this is really interesting as I was going through this album. There are really tiny little licks of El Dorado sounds in this album. Sometimes I hear the like I hear sounds where I'm like, and I know El Dorado very well. I've listened to it like 100 times. And I'm like, wow, there's so many teeny tiny little pieces. And they can be like 20 seconds long. And I'm like, I heard that in El Dorado. So it's really interesting, some of these tracks. The changes are just gorgeous, like from the bridge to the chorus to the guitar solo. And I love that tiny little guitar solo. It's so good. The echoing in the background is such a great reference for El Dorado. Like, I love that echoing backing vocal. That's what makes me think of El Dorado. It's just beautiful with the vocoder vocal changes. I love this penning so much from Jeff Lynne. I mean, I can go on and on and on about the writing in this track. It's just so beautiful. Would you like for me to share it with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I love the bridge so much. I love it how it says, just when I was thinking of her, she came along and made me want her. Like, I just think that's so beautiful. And then you have, if she goes away, I'm like someone who's left in the rain. Oh, sorry. I'm like someone who's left out in the rain. Just beautiful. And then we go into verse 5. That's not including, you know, the main little chorus piece. So verse 5, oh, this penning is so beautiful. The boats that sail, the planes that fly, she's is with me. I wonder if she wonders if this is all for real. I couldn't stand to see her cry because of me. That would be so sad. I love how he used that last line and he stretched that word sad. That would be so sad. I don't have a good voice, but
Yeah.
you know how that would be so sad. Like, I love that. I think it's
the phrasing is just big, isn't it? You know, Amy, there's one Beatles song this reminds me of, and it's Something by George Harrison. I think this is like an ELO version of Something. It's got a very longing vocal. It's very Beatlesque. There you've got a little bit of call and response. And then I love the effect of ELO when they bring in the baritone choir. You know, it adds a lot of gravity. And you nailed it about the guitar. The guitar licks in this song are great. Nice, really subtle jazz blue licks in this song. And the guitar lead break sounds like George Harrison. Now, you know how George Harrison had a very particular tone when he did his little guitar lead breaks? It sounds like George Harrison. So to me, this is like a George Harrison song, but it's not. It's Jeff Lynne. And,
yes.
You know, maybe he's ripping him off, but to me, I think it's excellent. It's an excellent song and probably one of the best songs on the album.
It really is a compliment, in my opinion. You know, if someone wants to kind of shine that influence, that's such a compliment. I would think that it would be a compliment. I just think it's wonderful.
Yep. All right, so we go to the next song, Horus Wimp. Now, I'll go straight off the bat. I'm not as big a fan of this song. It's a little bit too whimsical for me. What do you think of this one?
Oh, I love it. It grew on me so well. When I first listened to this track, I was saying, I don't know. But there is something so catchy and fun. When you start singing to this song, you really get in the groove. I really enjoy it. Now, there is something very interesting about this song. When they go through the days of the week, they leave Saturday out. They say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. I don't know what it is, why they left Saturday out, but Saturday is never mentioned. So what's so beautiful about this track, what I love so much about this track is that Horus Wimp, he was a lonely, sad man. He wanted love, but he was so scared. He was so scared to go out into the world and find love. So when he finally met this girl, you know, that voice that talks to him that says, Horus, you know, go out there and live your life. In my opinion, that is Horus's conscious talking to him, saying, Horus, go out there and live your life, Horus, stand up and be a man. So I think that's really interesting how Jeff Lynne kind of really created a story here where, you know, you have this man and then you have his conscience. But I also love the little details in this track because I'll read verse 6 to you. It says, Sunday, Sunday, everybody's at the church. When Horus rushes in and says, nowhere comes my wife for the rest of my life, and she did. And then he has these church bells. I think it's so beautiful. And then says, don't be afraid, just knock on the door. Well, he just stood there mumbling and fumbling, then a voice from above, and then the door knocks. So that's the only time you hear the church bells ring and the door knocks, because you kind of have another chorus that's very similar to this, maybe a few lines that are different. And Jeff Lynne does not put the door knocking. So I love those tiny little details in here, and I think it's so fun. I totally get in my groove when I start pulling up the lyrics and singing this song. It's an enjoyable track for me. I like it.
Yeah, look, to me, it's a little bit of musical whimsy that, I don't know, it's a little bit cringy. I liked it in the day when I was younger, but it's one of those ones as I'm older, I just sort of, no, not quite for me. I think it's got similarities to Mr. Blue Sky sonically. Listen to both tracks. Dun, 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 dun. You know, it's sort of similar sonically. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we just probably agree to disagree on this one. But yeah, appreciate that. So we flip over the side and we have Last Train to London. This was another single that was released and did. This album, I think it had 4 top 10 singles in the UK, and this was another huge single in the UK. What do you think of this song, Last Train to London?
Well, it's definitely another disco-ish song. You know, you have that disco vibe. I love the intro to the song. I think it's fantastic. I love it so much. I love the guitar in here. I love the siren that goes off. Just those little details really just wake me up and get me excited. Jeff Lynne's really good at that. The rhythm is really fun to the song. I love the beats. It's such a great dancing song. Like I could see them playing this somewhere and people just enjoying having a good dance. So what I think the song really is about, I think a man is at a train station and, you know, he's waiting for his next train, but he sees this girl standing alone and he just, you know, it's like love at first sight. He wants to be with her. Does he ever get to be with her? We don't know. But I love that love at first sight moment, how he talks about her, I want to be with her. And you know, he's just enjoying his time at the train station. And he doesn't even meet this beautiful woman, but sees like probably the most beautiful woman he's ever saw. It's a cute song. Fun.
And it pops out, doesn't it? It's a great track opener for side 2. Jeff Lynne said he wrote it on the basis that they used to do frequent commuting between Birmingham, where they come from, and London, and that was kind of the theme. I think it's about not wanting the night to end. It's like the never-ending night. And I love that uber funky bass line. It's very disco. You've got the lush strings on top. Like, let's face it, in disco, there was a lot of strings. So disco peaked around 76, 77. Listen to all the top, you know, the number 1 hits, Donna Summer, blah, 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 all strings, the Georgie Moroder sound. And this goes into that theme. And I love that engaging falsetto voice from Jeff Lynne. So you can understand why this was a huge hit. Have you heard that on the radio? Does this still get played in the States, this song, or not so much?
No, not really. I wish it was. I haven't came across it. But I really enjoy your take on how you hear this song. It's just so interesting how, you know, 2 people can hear something differently. You know, we all have imaginations, and I'm a girl of imagination. When I listen to music, it's all about imagination. This is why I love Jeff Lynne and I love his music. I love his writing and how, you know, I love everything because he really gets my mind going. He really creates these experiences for me to be creative and to dream and have these pictures in my mind. Like Jeff Lynne does that for me. I don't think there's anybody else besides the Moody Blues, Days of Future Past, that can really crank up my imagination. But Jeff Lynne really does it. I love that about Jeff Lynne.
Well, that's fine praise indeed, Amy. Fine praise indeed. Track 2 on side 2, another cracker song, Midnight Blue. What do you think of this one?
Midnight Blue, another beautiful ballad. I love so many different things about this track. Now, I just don't know if I'm mistaken. Am I hearing a violin in Midnight Blue at the beginning? Is that a violin? Because I'm always concerned if I'm hearing like an electric keyboard with different sounds, but I hear this violin that I can't get enough of. I love it so much. There's this sparkle effect. In my opinion, that's the only way I can describe it, is this sparkle effect that really gets me excited. I love the electronic voice. Again, you have that real slight hint of El Dorado experience. Like I can't get that feeling out of this album on certain tracks. I just hear the little pieces that really bring me back to that album. I think there's such a sweet chorus in this track. It's just beautiful. I love the changes in verse 4. The vocal changes are just beautiful. I love how, you just don't expect it. It just comes into the next verse where, you know, the vocals just sound completely different. They change like heights and lengths, and it's just beautiful. I think this song is also about wanting to make a relationship work. I think it's another song like that. He just loves her so much, and it's just a beautiful song. I love it. It's probably my favorite song on the album. It really does it for me. I love that song.
I agree with you. I think it's one of the top songs on the album. I see it that there's a little bit of unrequited love on it, where he's of loving you, everything midnight blue. I think that he's put all his eggs in the basket, and he feels that he's not being fulfilled. There's a little bit of unrequited. The vocals are just haunting, and he's really doing the good old Roy Orbison, and the choir comes in, and it gives this cinematic feel. And I hear a lot of Beatles as well, where it says that, the Greek chorus, I will. So, best of both worlds, he cherry picks the 50s with Roy Orbison and the Beatles of the 60s, and you have this song. I think it's a finely crafted pop song. And it's just top shelf. It really is. All right. The next one is On the Run. What do you think of this song?
All right. So On the Run, we got that disco vibe, coming in again, in my opinion. So to me, this is an interesting song when it comes to the lyrics. So it kind of has it sounds fun. There's a very fun vibe about it. You have the electronic sounds. It's a pretty cool sounding song. But what I really think this song is about, I think a relationship's not working out. It's just not working out. But the girlfriend, when she's around her friends or maybe family, we don't know, she acts like there's nothing wrong. She's kind of candy coating her relationship with, I guess, her partner. She just, just living her life. But, I think he's kind of hit the fuse where he's had enough. He's like, I just can't do this anymore. Maybe when they're alone, it's not working out very well. But when they're around friends, it's like there's nothing wrong between them. Maybe he's having some kind of confusion, like, what's going on here? That's what I get from the song. So On the Run, yes.
It's bubbly, isn't it? It just bounces along. It's got this hooky synth pattern. I love the pizzicato plucked strings, where I just think that adds so much flavor to the song. And I love it when you've got the outro and it slows down, and you've got that double track Jeff Lynne vocals where it goes turn around, it goes slower. I think that's a really nice touch. Even the deep tracks on this album are really strong, aren't they? I mean, yeah, it's just, in the day, I think the record company would have thought, wow, they could have released so many singles off this album, like Michael Jackson with Thriller, where had the record for like 7 singles off this album. I'm thinking as we're going along the tracks, they could have just released so many singles off this album.
I believe Discovery had 4 really hit singles on this record.
Could do 5 or 6, seriously.
Yes.
They're so hooky. Okay, so we're going to the business end of the record. We're on the second last track, Wishing. What do you think of this song?
Oh, Wishing is lovely. I love it so much. In my opinion and in my imagination, I hear like spaceship sounds, maybe extraterrestrial. There's a feeling of that in the music. And I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful song. What really shines in this song for me is the piano. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And again, I'm going to say it again. There's this really small piece in there that reminds me of Laredo Tornado in El Dorado. I wish I could tell you where it's at. But there's a small little piece where it makes me feel like I'm hearing the wind or, something there. I love the chorus so much. I'll read you the chorus just to remind you how beautiful it is. It says, I wish everything was gold. I wish you were here to hold. I'm wishing. I love that. I love that chorus so much. I think it's so short and sweet and brilliant. Just those small little pieces really are impactful for the song. It's gorgeous.
Lyrics do matter, and lyrics do matter in the ELO world because it's a marriage between words and sounds. And there are some bands where lyrics are not as important, but I think lyrics are very important because it's the Jeff Lynne world. He's creating this universe. And that makes this song so great. There's a bit of melancholy in this song. It's kind of sad and dreamy. I think the synth line's very melancholy. Did you find that?
I did a little bit, yes. I just think it's fantastic how, I don't know how Jeff Lynne does it. He's magic. He just does it.
Absolutely. And he had some fine players around him because I think this is kind of the classic lineup, all that period, the mid-70s to this, because there were lineup changes after this album, but I think this is really the golden period of ELO and probably the end of the golden period. I'm sure that there might be some viewers going, no, you're wrong. I like Time and some of those other ones, but I just think this is probably right at the end of that purple patch that ELO had. Classical string arrangements. I love the bass line. It propels, it anchors the song. And I think it's a very aspirational song, wishing. Beautiful. So, all right, Amy, we're going to the huge hit. This was a huge hit all around the world. It gets played on classic rock radio to this very day. It is actually their biggest selling single, and that is Don't Bring Me Down. Now, sonically, this is so much different to anything on this album. What do you think of this song?
So the first song to not have an orchestra was a huge shock for ELO fans. That was just huge. And I don't believe that the string trio band members are even in here, I don't believe. So that was interesting too. So this song the whole album was recorded in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, right? In Musicland Studios. So there's so much magic in this track, in my opinion. So there's many different things going on. If you listen to the track very closely at the beginning, you hear Jeff Lynne kind of whisper, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of people can't hear that, but it's there. And supposedly, I'm not sure how true this is, but supposedly it was Jeff Lynne's way of just kind of playing, just having fun, It's not even part of the song, but it's there. So we got some big news here. So we know that it says, don't bring me down, gross, right? Don't bring me down, gross. We don't know how it's saying, but the US thinks that he's saying Bruce, Bruce. Well, it's not Bruce.
Or Bruce. Bruce.
Bruce, that's how you say it. There you go. So the interesting thing about this track is that because he was in Germany, in the studio in Germany, when he was saying Gruß, supposedly Gruß is an actual German word. They thought he put a German word in that song, when really Gruß is just a word that he threw in there that was supposed to not really have much meaning. So if I'm not mistaken, maybe your subscribers or whoever's watching can help. If you're from Germany, Gruß is kind of like maybe a welcome or something like that, maybe like a welcome or a greeting or something like that. So it was really interesting to read that because so many people are like, Bruce, Gruß, no one really knows what to say of the song. Another great thing about the song as well is that it became a huge astronomical hit with NASA. I'm not sure if you heard the details about the NASA. Well, when NASA was up in space in the Skylab space station, when they were about to re-enter to Earth, they played the song in 1979. It was played in 1979. So as I guess the aircraft was coming down to the Earth's atmosphere, they played the song. So it was really interesting that they did that, because they did it again with the Shuttle Columbia mission STS-78. I hope I got that correct. They were experiencing bad weather and they had to have, I guess, an extra day, an extended stay up in space. And they played this song again, don't bring me down, down, down. So I think it's just great. So it's became like a huge astronomical wake for astronauts. Could you imagine being in the as an astronaut being in space, hearing "Don't Bring Me Down," ELO up in space? Wouldn't it blow your mind?
Oh, look, it really goes with the theme of ELO, with Out of the Blue, with the spaceship. So outer worldly. I think that's just, if I was the record company and I would have just marketed it with that angle with ELO. Just this is the song that we play as we're coming down from the clouds.
Yes,
wonderful,
it's incredible.
Fantastic. But as a song, it's so sonically different, isn't it? Because to me, it's got a bit of a 70s glam stomper feel to it. And then it's got that Beatles, that old, it's like a Beatles rocker, so, but it's completely different to everything else on this album, isn't it?
No disco, no candy pop. It's really just, it's more rock Beatles feeling.
Yeah, a rocker. And it's Jeff Lynne's favorite ELO track that he says. He loves it. So
isn't that incredible? Yeah. He loves that track, but a lot of people don't seem to appreciate it because you're missing that orchestra. So it's interesting.
I think it'd be my top 5. ELO.
Oh,
I love ELO, but I just think this is it's a rave. It's rave up. It's a great song and a great closer. I just think it really ends the album with a bang. And I love album closes that make you want to start it all over again. And this one just really it sends you off on a good vibe.
Oh yeah, when I'm driving in my car and "Don't Bring Me Down" comes on, I'm dancing in the car. I love it so much. Yeah. And I'm from North America, so a lot of people don't like that song, but I do. It never gets old. Yes.
All right. So, Amy, I think we've gone through the tracks. Tell us, what is your synopsis of this album with 2024 Years?
I think it's great. I don't think many people would really pull it off the shelf. Like if you're in the record store and you're going through records, you're trying to find something, I think it's easily misplaced. Not many people pick it up because not many people really know of it unless they know "Don't Bring Me Down." And I think it creates a really nice family-friendly album. I think that it's a record that you can play, if you have family over. It's a lot of fun. I think that there's staying power because we all need a little fun in our life, and disco just really lightens up the mood and the air and brings a little fun, and the kids love it. Even kids love dancing to, disco music. I think there's staying power for it. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I think I've got an emotional attachment to this album because it was the first ELO album that I was gifted or bought, even though I heard the songs. And as a 12-year-old, I'd still feel like I'm a 12-year-old listening to this album every time I play it. I think the songwriting is well crafted. There's so many hooks. I'm a Beatles nut, Beatles tragic, and there's so much Beatles in this album. I just love it. And I rank it right up there, but I know it did cop a little bit of critical flack because it's the disco album. But hey, disco is still alive. You listen to pop music, and it's still It's still an influence there. So I don't think it's that dated. I think it's still fresh. And when you're doing writing songs that hark back to the Beatles or hark back to the classics of the 50s, it's timeless and it doesn't date. So I think Jeff Lynne he's a great writer, and I think I really like this album a lot, hell of a lot.
It's also interesting because Jeff Lynne didn't tour for this album at all. He didn't tour after Out of the Blue. He decided not to make a tour for this record. I feel if he would have made a tour for this album, I feel it may have had a different, like people would have responded to it differently. But I think because there wasn't a tour for it, maybe it was kind of shied out a little bit. But I totally can see how Jeff Lynne wouldn't want to go on another tour, especially after Out of the Blue, just how huge that tour was, and having that huge spaceship that he had, supposedly that was a lot for him. And it really maybe tired him a bit and was like, no, we're just going to make a video for each track and really just make an announcement on the album like that, really make it shine, I guess, through the videos. But I thought it was interesting that, yeah.
I think Jeff prefers to be in the studio, and he's always said that, studio is more for me than going out live. But it's good to see that he's come out in the last 10 years and brought together a ELO band, which has got none of the players from the original lineup, and a lot of them have sadly passed. But it's good that he's actually taking it out on the road and giving folks the experience of listening to some of these great tracks. Amy, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. So folks, this is the album that we have done a rewind on, Electric Light Orchestra, ELO Discovery, or Disco Very, which I've just learned today, which is absolute genius from Amy. I thought that was fantastic. You can see Amy Fox on Amy's Vinyl Experience. I will put the link below. Please check out great shows, very deep in the weeds in regards to behind the music, the lyrics, and it's a wonderful YouTube channel. Please check it out. Please like and subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation. We cover all different types of genres of rock here. Tell us what you think of this album, Discovery. Do you like it? Your favorite tracks? Or maybe what do you think is the best ELO album or the best work of Jeff Lynne? But one thing's for sure, you'll see Amy and me on a show in 2024, 2025 coming soon. Thanks for coming on, Amy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.